So guys, this is the first episode of the SalesChange podcast. So today we're talking to Mploy. The podcast is a really interesting one. We're going to listen to Kat and Mark talk about the history of Mploy, how they started, and what they're looking to build and where they're going to go in the future. They've won a couple of awards, so we'll hear about the awards that they've won. I talk about the biggest issue with the recruitment industry now, and they agree. Let me know what you think. We also talk about what a boss and leader means. There's a difference between the two. And we also ask them the SalesChange 5 questions, which we ask on every single podcast. If you do like the podcast, go on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review and leave me a comment. That'd be nice. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Welcome, Kat and Mark. This is the SalesChange podcast. So you guys are from Mploy. Tell me about Mploy.
Who wants to go first then? Okay, so Mploy is a recruitment agency that myself, Dan and Matt set up in 2001. We've got 7 different locations throughout the south. Focus on all types of recruitment. We have specialist divisions though in office, administration, industrial, marine, manufacturing, and healthcare.
So does each office cover one particular speciality, or is it just across?
It kind of varies as well because
this is Kat.
Yes.
Hi. Some offices cover more generic recruitment, such as industrial, food manufacturing, manufacturing, engineering, and anything shop floor related, where we also have got a specialist office for office-based vacancies, which is in Bournemouth. We also have got 2 offices, and we'll talk probably a little bit later on about our growth plans, about future offices, which specialise in healthcare. But we also have got a specialist division in digital marketing in our Christchurch office.
Nice. And was that the vision when you first started Mploy, Mark?
No, the vision when we first started Mploy was to keep it as small as possible and have a lifestyle business. There's somewhere along the line that went horribly wrong.
And whose idea was that?
Probably mine.
Yeah.
But no, you take opportunities when they present themselves, and sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time.
So was it nerve-wracking going from one office to 2? Or did you go from 1 to, say, 4?
I'd had a business before that we had 3 different locations for. So for me, 1 to 2 to 3 wasn't an issue. As we got bigger, it became harder. And I think the hardest thing is to take the values that you have as a business with 1 office, and when you roll that out to 6, 7 locations, to maintain those values with people that you're not working with all the time. Yeah. And you certainly then give people the opportunity to share those values, and you'd like to think that they will always do that, but that you do feel like you're losing some control of your baby, as it were.
But you should be the specialist at that, surely. By recruitment, you should be able to find the people that you need to put in. So do you have a specific way of recruiting for a different office, for example, or is it from 1 to, say, 4, did you have to find a particular type of person?
I think it's you tend to recruit on values. That's what you look for. Yeah. I think if you can find people that share your values and share your goals, then you can
not necessarily skills. Because when I recruit personally, I don't look for somebody who's technically competent, for example. I just look for the right type of person. Exactly. If they're not an idiot, then they can work for me.
I think we never concentrate around experience that they have, and probably less experience they have, the better.
Because you can mold them.
Exactly. And we look for people who share our passion, who are committed, who want to learn, who want to grow, who are hungry, and we then train them. And majority of our people, if I was going to say probably 95% people, were homegrown, if you like. And that's part of our success.
Kat wanted to say groomed, didn't you? But that's probably not the best thing to say.
Can we cut it out, please?
No, we're keeping groomed in. So if you had to sum up, you say you had to go from 1 to, let's say, 8 offices that you've got now. The culture, how would you sum that culture up within Mploy?
I think you got to work hard. We encourage people to work hard and play hard. We try and get the work-life balance, right? Which is not easy in a sales role. Customers are very demanding, obviously. So you have to be there 24/7 for them, but you have to make sure that you manage that, whether by flexible working or allowing people time off when they're doing work at the weekends and stuff like that. And I can't remember what your question was, so I kind of padded it there for a second.
I think
you can't remember what your question was either, can you?
I was listening. I was enthralled by you.
I think one of the strategies of Mploy is that obviously when we initially grew, I joined Mploy where they opened the second office. So I had the pleasure of watching the whole growth and the whole history over the probably more than 15 years. And one of the strategies was to be able to promote from within. So that's a key thing for us. And so when we looked to open a new office, we would look at someone internally who would be ready to step up, who would want to step up, who would be hungry to lead their own team. And then we would look to promote that person.
Do you think that's important, to have somebody from within? Because they understand the culture.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
When we spoke about...
That answers your question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done, Kat. She's good, isn't she?
She's very good. You're glad you brought her along.
Yeah, I am, really, yeah. So to be fair, I'm the one that tagged along with her. When you spoke about how you roll that culture out, and that's an important thing. If you actually, it's almost like stepping stones. So the person that's in, say for example, the Salisbury office pushes out the sales area into Andover, and then that gives us the next opportunity to open that office, and then we will try and take someone from within the company to open that office. So you've got to have confidence in a person opening in a new office, because it's a big expenditure and it's a risk. So you try and mitigate that risk by having somebody you already know who's driving that forward for you. Someone's just held up a piece of paper to say that it's our 20th birthday next year. So it's our 20th birthday next year. Well done, Jess.
You've just added that in.
I know, smooth.
My next question was going to completely carry on from the previous one, which was, what are your next plans for growth? So you've got 8 offices now.
Yeah. Well, it's our 20th birthday next year. We plan on opening. We've got a new Dorchester healthcare division that's opening in April this year. We've just relocated our Dorchester office that we have to Poundbury in Dorchester.
A brand new office.
It's a brand new office. And we're going to put a new Dorchester healthcare office into our current office in Dorchester. I think our growth plans are pretty much for one office every year. I know there's lots of businesses out there that will do 2 or 3 offices a year. For us, it's about getting the right office at the right time with the right people. So we find about 1 a year gives us a chance to bed in. It takes about 3 months to 6 months to make an office profitable. So we tend not to open another office until the one that we've just opened is
so
into
it pays
profit.
for itself.
And I think a part of the financial side, we want to make sure that we give enough support and enough attention to that office and the person running that office to make sure that the opportunity is maximized as well for them as for us.
Yeah. So you've got 8 offices. You're primarily Southwest based because you started in Poole, presumably, or in and around that area.
And it was going to be 1 or 2.
Do you have plans for national domination?
I think that the problem of that is when you live down here. We have a great quality of living down here, and I think as you push further away from that, it becomes harder to get to your network of offices within a day of travelling. And I think we've all got kids, so we always want to get back home. And to keep that culture. So I think that we won't go national domination. I think we will settle with the south and southwest. We'll certainly go further to the west, and we may well go further than Andover, so maybe Bristol, Bath way, that sort of area, and then back round to Wincanton, pushing further into the West Country. I think also when you start to get into the areas of London and Manchester and further up north, then we don't know that market, and England as a whole place to work is very much divided into little communities, and the reason why we're very successful is we understand the market we're in. So if you look at our offices in, say, Dorchester, Salisbury and Andover, we have a very strong understanding of the type of markets they are and how you get on with those types of people and stuff like that. So I think we'll stay in the areas where we know we can do well.
Like becoming Company of the Year at the Dorset Business Awards.
What a lovely lead-in that was. Yeah, we were very proud of that. I think we've had a good year for winning awards.
You got the best company. Like the 3-star best company.
Yeah, we were awarded, we were placed in the Sunday Times top 100 companies to work for. We were number 30 in the South, but we were number 3 in the whole of we were number 30 in the UK and number 3 in the South.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So that was a really good award to have. We were very proud of that. It was a great night out in London, and which we've just about recovered from now. It was in February last year. But the Dorset Business Awards Company of the Year was one that I was particularly proud of. To get recognition for this area, it's a very competitive area, and we worked hard for that. And so that was another good night out as well.
We, as in Safi, the company that I run in the UK, we entered for the engineering category, and we got listed in the top 5, but then we didn't make the shortlist finalists, unfortunately. It is hugely competitive.
It is.
It's a very unique sort of market in the Southwest. There's like, I don't know, it's like a culture of its own within the Southwest, and no other business that I've worked in, say London, or I've worked in Reading in Berkshire, no other sort of business environment has the support from the local council, from the local chambers, and it's just like constantly growing. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Yeah,
and I think it's very much relationship based here, and loyalty. A lot of our business is based on referrals from one company to another, based on a good job that we do with one client. And it's a very specific environment, and you want to make sure you get it right the first time and you carry on doing it well, because this is the only way you're able to sustain and survive in this environment. So I get a lot of people coming from other areas and trying to understand how we operate in the Southwest, but it is very specific. But it's very nice to be able to build those long-term relationships and to get to know people a little bit better, not only about the basis of the business, but the plans, how the business started. Many of those businesses are actually family businesses. Families started those businesses, and it's nice to know the history behind this, and nice to learn about
I think it's hugely important within the business, not just the recruitment industry, but in all industries, to know the person that you're selling to and understand what drives their business, how they want to grow, and specifically for the recruitment industry, but understanding the culture that they're trying to bring somebody into. I mean, we're at the first sort of stages of growth at Safi, and trying to find, because you've got such a small team, trying to find the right person to fit into that team that doesn't upset the apple cart and really sort of understands where you want to be in 5-10 years time. That's so difficult to find.
That's the key to good recruitment.
Yeah.
You spoke earlier about not necessarily matching skills. I think you can have all the skills that are required. You can have the best degree in the world. But if you're someone that's going to inherently upset a team of well-established people, then you're effectively going to put the team's going to go backwards. So it is all about finding the right person.
Yeah,
and I think particularly in the role that we do, we have to listen to what our customers want. I think so many times people can be guilty of trying to squeeze the person they've got to fit the role. What we try to do is actually listen to what the customers want and try and get them to steer us towards the type of personality that will match.
I think we always make sure that we go and visit all our customers and get to know the environment where they're going to work, and when the person they require will be working, and people who they will be working with. And I think it's it makes me proud when I can go to the company and then I can see a half of the shop floor or half of the sales office that have been originally recruited by us. Yeah. And it's really nice. You almost go through the room and wave and left, right, and it's really nice. And it's very important to get the right fit.
Yeah, I've worked with a fair few recruitment companies, and it's always down to the relationship that I've had with the recruitment.
Do we work with you?
Not currently, no.
We will be.
It's always important for me when I'm dealing within the recruitment sort of sphere and trying to recruit somebody for my business to get to know the consultant so the consultant knows me. I just don't understand the recruitment model where you get speculative CVs sent for you via email, or somebody just drops into your office. Now, I understand they're dropping into your office because that's just essentially cold calling or warm calling because might know that they needed somebody. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys feel about just sending blind emails?
I think it's frustrating. I think the industry is so heavily regulated, And so realistically, you shouldn't be sending out blind CVs. And also under new GDPR legislation, it's an absolute minefield about sending out unsolicited emails and unsolicited documents and stuff like that. So it's very frustrating for us because although it shouldn't be happening, it does still happen.
Do people still get business that way?
Yes, and that's the frustration, because if the clients were to actually say, I'm not going to take these CVs because it came through this channel, then it would effectively stop.
That's essentially what I do. Yeah.
Because if as long as they take someone as a result of that, then it's a self-perpetuating. It keeps on going. People will keep doing it because they know that every now and then it may well work. It is frustrating. And like I say, with all the different governing bodies that we belong to, it's something that we're really trying to push to stop happening. It's not getting the best for the candidate or the client, really.
So given that, what would you like to see the recruitment industry do now that it's not doing already?
I would like to see it go. Sorry, Kat. I'd like to see it go back to you have to have a license to operate. Yeah. I think when I first started in recruitment, you had to apply for a license, which had to be displayed up in the shop window.
I didn't know that.
A bit like setting up a sex shop, I would imagine. And you have to apply for the license. You had to list the name of the directors, and it was in the window. And so people would say, if this person is the right person to operate a recruitment business, which you're dealing with.
There's
people.
Another.
You're dealing with people's money and stuff like that. So, and then the legislation was changed back in, I think it was around about 1994, 1995. And I think realistically we should go back to that. Yeah. I think that you should have to take a fit and proper test to run a business, particularly when you're advising people about their careers and companies are putting a lot of trust in you to get the recruitment right. That's what I would change. Kat would change something else.
What would you change, Kat?
I think I agree with you, basically.
Really?
Recorded.
I just want to make it aware that never happens. Kat never agrees with anything I say.
And where do you see the future of the recruitment industry? Do you think it's going to go more technology-based, more personality profile-based, or?
Definitely more technology-based.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of voices out there making improvements to technology. And obviously the whole world is heading that way anyway. It will be more regulated, especially it gets, there are new regulations every year. And I'm pretty sure that with new immigration policies, there will be more regulations and it will be more challenging to recruit, obviously dependent on strategies of the company.
Yeah. I've only joined Safi 18 months ago. And when I was looking for a job, I wanted to sort of brand myself in a particular way. Do you think that's on the rise, that people are beginning to personally brand themselves, that they can fit into a particular role? Or do you think that's not done enough?
I think it obviously all depends on the type of role and the type of industry that you're going into. I think particularly in the type of industry you're in, I think that's something that's happening. My daughter's studying fashion at the moment, and that's something that she does a lot of. They sort of brand themselves towards a particular role.
Yeah.
So I think it will change. I think I was reading somewhere, I can't remember where it was, someone said that we talk about careers advice that's given at school now, and something like 50% of jobs that, I've got a 10-year-old son, and 50% of jobs that my son will be applying for haven't actually been invented yet.
Yeah,
which is quite a shocking thing if you think back to apps and app developers and stuff like that. Even in the very recent past,
do you think
10 years ago that wasn't a thing? So
do you think then that those roles will be created around developing skills and abilities of people? That
yes.
Will be completely. Thank you, Mark.
So you're learning something now, Kat.
Every day is a learning experience with Kat.
No, I think I saw Gary Vee talking about that the technology that we used when we were children doesn't exist anymore, and the technology that our kids are using now won't exist in 10, 15 years' time. So, like you said, the 50% of jobs which they're going to go for just aren't around yet. VR, AR, all of this type of scenarios, they're just going to be way, way ahead in the future.
I ran a training session last week, and I was explaining to people in the room about how we worked 15 years ago. And I mentioned about the fax machine, to which they all looked at me saying, what is this? So yes, it will have an impact and it will be changing.
My nephew came in and did some work experience for us in the summer, and he had to write some checks for us. I had to explain to him what a check was and how you wrote it.
Yeah, we dug out some old VHS tapes from the garage and trying to explain what a VHS did and how it went into the machine.
Yeah.
And then you had to play and fast forward and pause and
a top loading machine.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Not even a front loading.
No,
machine.
exactly. Yeah.
Proper old school.
So, you guys are obviously leaders within your business. What do you see as a leader or as a boss? What's the persona? How would you define leader or boss?
I think I would rather be respected than necessarily liked. I think you're not always going to be liked because you have to make difficult decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing. I think sometimes you've got to do the best for the company, and that doesn't always boil down to being necessarily the best for an individual. So I think that's tough. I think you've got to be fair. I think the one thing that we would always like to say is anybody that's worked for us, and sometimes, we don't get it right. Some people don't work out. I think it'd be fair to say that we've always given everyone the opportunity, given them a lot of training. I think we encourage people to learn by their mistakes. So we'll never tell anyone off for making a mistake. We will certainly say something if they make the same mistake repeatedly. But I think that we always try and encourage people to act on what they think is best. We as a business try to let people run their offices and their sections as if it were their own business. So I think that for a business owner or a manager, I think to be someone that people can look up to. I think to not always think that you've got the right answers, because you don't have. You're learning something new every day. And because we're dealing with people as well, people can do really weird things. So it's not like we're making a product which, is clearly defined. It does this job and it will be there on a certain date. You're dealing with people. So I think that you have to be prepared to be very fluid in how you plan things and expect things to change on a daily basis.
And how do you see yourself as a leader, Kat?
So as an employee, what I like about Mploy and what I've always liked about Mploy is this certain amount of freedom that you get to make those decisions that Mark has mentioned, and to run this business units almost as your own, but you are being given this ability to make those decisions. And if you make a mistake, you learn from it, but you're not forced to perform in a certain way. You can come up with your own ideas, and that's what I've always liked, because it allows you to develop, for other people. And as a leader, I think you need to be leading by example. We talk about loyalty, we talk about passion, determination. If as a leader you don't have it, no one will follow you and express the same values. And I think when you recruit someone, when we recruit someone, we look for those values. But I think that those values are already present in room when this person walks in from us, and the way we behave, the way we ask questions, the way we structure the questions and look for the answers, we already seek those values. And as a leader, you need to be able to show them on a daily basis.
I think it's really difficult when you're a leader that you've got to sort of bridge that line between giving them the ultimate amount of trust so that they can develop and be themselves, but also that you've got to bring them in so that they understand your direction. So it's letting them go slightly, letting them go slightly, and then but bringing them back when they're not going in the right direction. And that also comes down to being a coach slightly as well, because you've got to make sure that they understand what your intent is. You've got to really understand where you want to go, and you've got to have the sort of the forethought and the vision, but then be able to communicate that throughout all of your team.
I think it also comes with being approachable, so they can feel that they can always come to you for this guidance should they feel lost. Do you guys?
Sorry, Mark, what were you going to say?
A Kat is always approachable.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something I'm particularly good at, but Kat is. I think
don't approach Mark on Mondays and Tuesdays, otherwise it's fine.
I think also from Kat's perspective, I think we're very proud of the fact that 65% of our senior management team is female, and it's made up of lots of different nationalities. So I think that Kat is a good example of somebody who relocated from Poland, came to another country. English is not her first language, and she's risen through our business to become the most senior member staff that we have. So I think she's inspirational and aspirational for a lot of people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So do you guys, like you say, to be approachable, do you guys, is it an open door policy? Do you have WhatsApp groups and
Absolutely.
all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we have an open door policy.
We have a WhatsApp group apparently, but I'm not sure anyone wants to exchange those messages.
We're in it. I think maybe we're outside of it. We have our own WhatsApp group. Yeah, we do have an open door policy. I mean, there's times, because we have a weekly payroll that we have to run, we pay about 1,800 temps a week. So Mondays and Tuesdays, like Kat alluded to earlier, are days when there really isn't much of an open door policy because it is heads down because of the deadlines.
Well, the door is open, but
yeah, the door's open.
You need to be brave to walk in.
One of those magnetic fields, like the dog train, you know, the one that goes off if a dog goes through it. But no, we always encourage people to come and talk to us, and funnily enough, we do all our training is done internally as well by Kat or Nikki and Jess. And when we have the training, so all the people from the other offices come to our head office to be trained. And we always try and make a point of going out and speaking to people and talking to them about, and trying, sometimes we sit in on the training and stuff like that. So I think it is important. We like to know what's going on in the business. I think that's one of the other things as well. As a business grows, you can tend to lose touch with it. And, you know, we're not the type of people, business leaders that are out playing golf or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But we're fully engaged with the business. So we know what's going on at any time. We go and we still see customers. I'm taking customers out tonight. So, you know, we're very much, we don't ask people to do anything that we wouldn't do ourselves. So.
Do you think, sorry to interrupt, Kat, do you think that your employees' mental health is huge at the moment, but do you think if they had issues at home or issues outside of the business that they would be able to come to you?
I think the one thing we learned this year is that, mental health is a massive issue. And the one thing we learned is that, yes, they can come to us, but we are not necessarily equipped to deal with what people come to us with. So one of the things that we did last year was we engaged a mental health and wellbeing consultant who came in and saw every single person. So we got 66 people that work for us full-time, and full-time and part-time, but they actually work for Mploy. And we committed to letting every single person have an hour, if they wanted to have an hour, with this consultant who came in. And it was confidential, so we didn't get any feedback from it, but we felt that it was important. Our job is quite stressful. Our clients expect a lot from us, and so do the people who work for us, quite rightly so. So we felt that it was time that we actually put some money behind that. And people say they have mental wellbeing programs, but we actually committed to it and put some money behind it. And it worked very well. I mean, I know for some people it was a very, very big thing. And they've resulted in going on and having more sessions with her as well.
One-to-one sessions.
So it's and we've committed to, again, it's not something you can do once and then tick the box and say I've done it, because, you know, mental health issues come up at lots of different things. There's lots of different triggers. That's the one thing we've learned, is that what can make somebody stressed or go through a very difficult time is one thing for one person and something for another person. Yeah. And some people can cope with things, and other things, you know, there will always be one final straw that breaks the camel's back, and you don't know what that's going to be. So I think, for me, I think everyone should be aware of it, but I also think that, you know, really it takes some specialist people to be able to help people with issues that they have.
I think everyone in the company is aware that they can come to us and say, I think I feel I would benefit from meeting with a specialist. And probably this is where our role ends at this stage, and we then engage them with the specialist. But
the fact that you recognise that and are able to support it externally must do great things for your team.
It's important, and I think that you know, from a purely mercenary point of view, as an employer, what you want to do is you want to get the best productivity and the best production out of your people. So, you know, by helping them, you are somewhere down the line helping yourself as well, because it results in less time with people off, and hopefully makes people more likely to commit to us as a business going forward, because it is an important thing.
So just to find out, last couple of minutes, just to find out a bit more about you guys, we're going to do this with all the guests on the SalesChange podcast, and it's just to ask the 5 questions at the end. So what was the last book you read, Mark?
Oh dear, the last book I read. Well, I'm reading one now, actually. I'm reading 2 now, actually. The last one I'm reading is a Stephen King book called The Outsider.
I'm watching the series.
It's on TV now, isn't it?
It's fantastic. What
Yeah,
about
very
you,
good.
Kat? What was the last book that you read?
It was the culture map by Erin
God,
Meyer.
she went and said something businessy, didn't she?
The Culture Map by who?
Erin Meyer. She's
Okay.
a professor in France, and she specializes in communication between various cultures.
Mark's giving you a very strange look. Like
That's why she is where she is.
She ticks the boxes.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? She does, yeah.
And who's the leader that you look up to the most?
Cat.
Mark.
No, is there anybody external from your business who you would say? I mean, Eddie Howe is at Bournemouth, and I know you're there off there tonight, but
I'm not saying anything. That's not.
Depends whether they score or not.
I think. Funnily enough, you talk about football. I think Jurgen Klopp is a great leader.
fantastic.
I think he motivates people.
Yeah.
I think he does it with a sense of humour. I think everything should be done with a sense of humour. That's sometimes my downfall.
Podcasts included.
Included, definitely. Although I have been told to rein it in because I'm quite obviously not funny. So I think Jurgen Klopp is a great leader. I think he gets the best out of a team of people and he motivates, and he even seems to get other people on other teams liking him.
I like him. Yeah, he has that style where he just puts an arm around the shoulder and you know that he's on your side, and that's what you want from any leader. I think if when you're going into battle, I'm former army, so I understand that if you understand that the people on the field next to you are going to do exactly what you want them to do, and they expect the same from you, he just engenders that throughout his team. What about the leader for you, Kat, outside of Mploy?
I haven't got one leader that I look up to. I try to be a little bit like a sponge and take from multiple people. I definitely look up to my parents.
Yeah,
Very hardworking people.
Oh, that's lovely.
That was beautiful.
I look up to Kat's parents too.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be the owner of a recruitment agency with between 7 and 8
liar.
offices in the southwest, multiple award winning.
I wanted to be a psychiatrist. Then I ended up as a lawyer and then commercial director for recruitment.
So many things and answers so many questions. I wanted to be a barrister is what I wanted to be, but I didn't want to go to university, so that kind of went out the window.
And what was the worst job you could ever think of doing?
I did the job that was the worst for me, and that was working in a call center, being tied to a telephone. And I've learned about myself that I'm not that person who could be just sat all day. Yeah.
The worst job I ever had was when I was at college, I was a cleaner, and so cleaning toilets is not a great job. However, I always remember.
What did you learn, Mark?
What I learned it's that
perseverance.
People are very messy. That's what I learned. The one thing I did learn is that I worked with the guy that owned the cleaning company, and it was a very successful business that he built up, made himself a lot of money, and he always said to me that this is a job that has to be done. So many people don't want to do it, and that's why I'm going to do it and make a lot of money out of it. And he did.
A lesson.
Is this why you went to recruitment?
Yes. One step below cleaning.
And if you had to choose one of the 4 social media networks, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter or LinkedIn, which would you choose?
LinkedIn.
For private time, Facebook. For work, LinkedIn.
Private time.
When I've got one.
We're going back to that shop conversation.
No.
Honestly.
Which one for business? LinkedIn.
For LinkedIn, yeah, definitely.
Cool, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Whoa. Don't go anywhere yet. Julio, tell people where they can get more information.
If you like the podcast, go visit saleschange.co.uk.
That's good, but you said
saleschange.co.uk. Why don't you head... No, it's bad. It's bad. Go to saleschange.co.uk and... saleschange.co.uk and subscribe to our incredible newsletter. Thanks for listening.